Hello, and welcome to another exciting episode of Cooking with Unity. Well, it's not really Cooking with Unity, this is just me cooking. So, Cooking with Max, I guess. With Unity, I don't know. I'm going to be doing some cooking with Unity, but it's not a show. I'm going to teach you things, although you'll probably learn some things. I don't know. Let's just get started. So, this is for Ludum Dare, or Ludum Dare. I think Ludum Dare is right, but Ludum Dare is what everyone says. So, we're going to go main screen. I'm going to show you what I got so far. So I'm really happy with how the look of this game has turned out, but my initial design has some catchy, some little unfortunate things that I have to deal with. Let's put this to here, and so we're gonna open up the project. So first of all, I'm on Unity 4.6. So there's some new stuff that hasn't been here before. There's this thing here. I think that's the 2D move tool. There's this create menu that has create empty in it. I'm so excited. And there's my game. So I'm going to go maximize and play so that we can see this thing. And there's no sound or anything yet. And there's not really any gameplay yet. But this is what I've got. So I've been going for style. So we've got this really reflective, crazy red sphere thing that we can like cruise around the inside edge. The design idea I had was basically to have different arenas like this, spherical arenas, that are connected by tubes that you like basically go through and go to different worlds, and that's how it's connected worlds. That's the theme, and so that's what I was going to go with. One of the things that that I ran into was getting this movement around the sphere was actually trickier than I thought it was going to be. Part of it was you can't actually get the normal of a raycast off of a primitive type. You can only do it off of a mesh type, and if you do it off of a mesh type, you're constrained by that mesh's resolution. So it's very janky feeling when it should feel very smooth. Like this feels very smooth, and the way I did it is I'm orienting based on the raycast and the distance to the center of the sphere, which only works in perfect spheres. Obviously, this is limited to that, which means that this system will not work for the tubes. I'm debating on either switching to some system where I use a mesh, but then I do barycentric coordinates to figure out where I should be, like basically average between two connected polygons and their normals. But I'm not 100% sure that I will be able to do that. But it would work in a general sense, including on tubes. But that would solve that problem. The fact that I only have 4 hours at this point, well, 3 hours and 57 minutes, it means that there's not going to be a whole lot much else other than what I've got here. So I may instead just focus on making some actual honest gameplay here, as opposed to just moving around. And then not worry about the connecting worlds at the cost of not really being about connected worlds. So I do kind of want to fix that, but yeah. So this is a really kind of a wild look, but I like how this was all pretty much built up experimentally. What these are is this is just a specular, not a specular, yeah, a specular. What is the shader? Shaders. No, it's not. It's, yeah, sorry. It's just a reflective, diffuse shader. That's pretty much all I'm using. There's only two materials so far that I really use, green cube and red sphere. The green cube is set up as with a cube map that is set up, here, let's see. So it uses Cube Fancy Grid, I think. Is that what it uses? Yeah, Cube Fancy Grid. And this is just... both of these are the same texture, actually. They're both just this texture I generated in Neo Texture Edit. One of them is cylindrically mapped, and the other one... Oh, they're both cylindrically mapped. Why do I have two of them? Doesn't even make sense. So, does it make any difference if I grab sphere grid here? No, it makes no difference whatsoever. Why did I do that? Was there a reason? There's not. I'm just going to delete it. We've got version control, so if that was a mistake on my part, there we go. And then the other texture I use is just this very simple grid. It's like what we made before. One of them is bilinear filtered, and one of them is point filtered. The point filtered one I use for determining this grid on the red, so that it has these clean lines. The bilinear one I use on the cube. The reason I do that, actually, let me show you the reasons I do two separate ones on that. So I'm going to hit play and see if I can do this in real time. So, and we don't need to have the full screen. I'm going to, how do I turn off the camera rotate thingy? I'm going to go to main camera, and we're going to turn off the mouse look, and I'm going to manually put this back to the default facing. Alright, so the way this works. So on the sphere, here's what it looks like with point filtering, and here's what it looks like with bilinear filtering. It blurs it out a lot, and I didn't like the look. I didn't like feeling like I needed glasses. It does have kind of a cool look to it, so I went with the point filtering because it creates these kind of clean lines. It does also create a lot of aliasing, but I kind of like that in computery looking things anyway. Now, the reason I use bilinear on the cube and the other stuff is actually not because it looks particularly better on the cube. At this range, it actually doesn't look that great. But you can see in the background that there's these pulses that go through the materials here. If I use the point filtering on the green cube, oops, that's the bilinear point filtering. You still get it on the close-in ones, but the far ones, you don't even see it because the point filtering, basically, there's nothing, it's being filtered out as you get further away. So it only shows up on the very close thing. So it looks very clean and crisp and cool on the cube and on these things, but it just doesn't look as good as bilinear filtering when taking into account distant portions of the scene. You see how they're all glowing now? And so if I turn my look back on, you can see that it looks really cool when I look straight up. It looks like this this like weird energy ball thing. And this is ironic because I actually set this up as objects that spawn in and actually are attached to the sides, but I made them so long that they go through the center, and I just like the way that it looked. I kept it. This is still, of course, all stuff that could change. But yeah, that's basically where I'm at now. Oh yeah, so you see I do have some shaders in here. The only thing I did to all of these shaders is, I'm not even sure if I did it to all of them just because some of them I didn't really need. I just turned culling off. And what that means is, I'm on the inside of a sphere. I didn't model a new sphere for this, I just used the built-in Unity one. And the built-in Unity sphere with the built-in shader, you don't see the inside. Like, if you go inside of it, you won't see anything. You'll see through the polygons, because it only renders them on one side. So they call it back face culling. So those are the back faces, and they have been culled. I turned culling off, and that way I can just see the inside of this. It also means that I'm doing some unnecessary rendering on the other objects that are using the same shader, but it's not a big deal in this case. Let's see. So that's what I got so far. The other thing that's kind of exciting that I'm using this new is I'm using Unity's new build management system. They have this cloud build, build.cloud.unity3d.com. So what this is super awesome. It is a continuous integration system for Unity, and it appears that it is free right now. I think they mentioned in the presentation that this will be this will not be free later. While it is in beta, it is free. It will probably have pay, but there will be a free tier always. They said they stated that they will always have a free tier available for this. I'm not sure what features will be available. I think this is what they were talking about. If it's not, Unity, don't get mad at me. So they're not watching anyway. So what are we doing? So what this does is you basically can hook up a project at the source control level, and if you make changes to that project, it will kick off a new build automatically. and then you can just look at your build. So like the last thing I submitted, we can go to the web build here. It was doing originally all the builds at once. Now I'm just doing web builds because there was not much reason for me to do the mobile stuff, considering I don't even have a mobile control scheme for this thing yet. So you can just click play, and you can play the web player version. And my computer didn't have to build this. This was built on Unity servers, and it was built without me even kicking off anything. As a matter of fact, I can show you if we like make a change here, even though this is not a very particularly meaningful change. Clean up, don't need this after all. When we commit it, that simple act will be enough for it to be picked up by the build manager, and it will start kicking off a new build, which is awesome. Now, I'm not sure what the rate is that they do that, and I just realized I'm downloading my own game, so hopefully I'm not being cut off while this is happening. I wasn't even thinking about that aspect. But yeah, so here's the project in the web player, and this was built by Unity, hosted by Unity. Well, actually, if you look closely at the web address, it's actually hosted by Amazon AWS. Like most professionals use Amazon AWS, and actually a lot of indies use it too. I use it all the time. But that's what Unity's actually using for hosting this stuff. Not a surprise. They have just an amazing cloud system. And this is actually... yeah, this is basically the build I was playing. Just now, as I said, I kicked off that other build, or at least I made a change. So let's see if it's actually figured that out yet. So I'm going to go to projects, and I'm going to go to history. Okay, so it hasn't found my change yet. We'll go back to this in a second. It also has like stats, and you can collaborate with people. The collaborator stuff right now is a little too powerful. Like, I can't just make you guys collaborators, because you can actually change project settings, which is unfortunate. But yeah, we've got the build time on the project, the average size of the project, and the build health. The only failed builds I had actually were the first ones, and it was because I didn't have any scene set up in the build, which it needs to know what to build. So yeah, and I don't know, it's not going. I keep thinking it's going because it shows these at the top initially, but yeah. So in theory, this should kick off pretty soon here. I'm not sure. As I said, I'm not sure how often it checks, and it may be less often during the day when there's more people using it than it is at night, because it was pretty fast last night. So yeah, so that's about 15 minutes. I'm going to go ahead and see if there's any comments for not this video, but the current video. Open link, new tab. View all comments. T minus 10 minutes or seconds. I don't know what that was in response to. Oh, okay, got it. That was probably just for the start of the show. And when I do something like this, I got away with just rotating the sphere. Yeah, we could actually have just kept the cube in place and rotated the sphere around it. Then we didn't have to do anything fancy. Let me show what I actually did. Player movement. Here it is. Here's the whole thing. And all I do is I tried to do a rigid body version of this, and I ran into some trouble because it maintained velocities that I was kind of trying to counteract, and it caused problems. So I'm not using that. I'm not sliding around. This is a pretty standard movement. I'm using the vertical axis right now for forward. So if you press up on it, you go forward. And then I'm using the horizontal for rotation, so this just rotates it. And then in late update, this is where the magic's done to keep me on the sphere. So I basically do a ray cast from underneath the object, and then what I hit is what I basically attach myself to. So I attach myself to the height of that object, and I've got a height setting that changes how high it is, and then I use a little math here just to make the rotation based on, as I said, I couldn't use the hit dot normal because it doesn't actually do anything unless you have a mesh collider. And I didn't want to use a mesh collider, so I just used the object's transform position in the center and where I am. And in a sphere, that's perfect. That's the rate. That's the actual normal that I want in a sphere scenario. So that's all it is, and that locks me onto the place. And so that's how I do that. I've only got 3 scripts in this whole project so far. I just have the player movement, the sphere populator, and the texture scroller. Texture scroller, I typically when I do it on the show, I show you how to set it up so that you drag an object in and then change its texture to make it so that the draw calls batch. So like if I hit play right now, it's still going to be a few draw calls because I'm doing a lot of I'm doing some post processing on this, but it's 14 or 15 draw calls if you can see the player, and that's for all these things. And the reason it can stay that way and still have all the animation stuff is because all of these things actually use the same material. I'm not animating them on the object, which means that you create a new instance of that material and lose the batching. I'm doing it on a material basis. So if I go into special effects here, I drag the materials that I want to be animating, and I give them animation values. And so I just have this material scroll info class that has what each thing is, and then I've got an array of them. And then it just goes through that array and changes the positions. And that's it. Real easy peasy. And then sphere populator, this one is ironically a larger script than I would have expected. But basically what this does is I give it an object, a number of objects, and then the radius, or a bigger radius than the sphere I'm in. And it populates them around it and then does a raycast in and attaches them to that point. Right now, I'm not really worrying about like offsets or anything. I could do that just by creating offsets in the hierarchy. So if you go to the scene right now, well, actually, if I hit play and then go to the scene because it's populating these things randomly, go to scene, you'll see that these are actually bigger than the sphere anyway. So like their centers are actually getting hit right in there, but then they spike out as well. So yeah, this is the setup so far. Cool looking stuff, I think. I actually really like the way that it looks. So, what are we gonna do for the next hour and a half? It's a good question. So, I kind of want to, get some, like, music-y stuff going on. One of the tricks with Ludum Dare is I want to actually enter this as not a jam compo, although I might enter jam if I don't have time. So jam, you get one more day, and you can work in a team, and you can use assets that you didn't create during the competition. Normally on Ludum Dare non-jam edition, you can't, like, even though it's legal for you to, like, say, go to Kevin MacLeod's music repository and give him credit and use it in your game, that's breaking the rules when it comes to Ludum Dare. Additionally, using any like asset packs in Unity is breaking the rules. If you're using code packs, they actually allow for that. They'll probably get more picky about this stuff later, but right now it's they're pretty lenient, honestly, in any case. But I like to follow the rules just because I like the challenge of it. So if I do music, I need to actually make it, which means it's going to take some time because I'm not particularly great at making music. The other thing that's tricky about the music thing is I usually use my iPad to do music composition, but I've got my partner's been borrowing my iPad for a while, and I don't have it here. So I'm going to have to find tools that will work on this computer to make some music. The other thing is you can do generated music, so you can, as long as it was generated during the competition. So if we find a music generator that's really cool, I might use that. One of the tools that I use on iOS, though I'm not great with it because it's really complex, is called Sunvox. Sunvox is this really cool music application. And it's available on like everything, including freaking Palm OS. Like this has been around for a while, and it's very tight and really fast. The ones for iOS and Android have a cost associated with them. That's fine. This guy deserves the money, but I'm just warning you. I think the Windows version and Mac versions though are free. Yeah, $6, worth every penny. This thing's a really cool application. It's really fun with a touch interface too. But I will deal with it on Mac OS. I'll just get that downloading right now. And what else? Let me see. I'm just going to search for music generators. Some useful music generators. Ludum Dare. Excellent. Perfect timing. All right. Aviary's music creator. Automata. All right, so there's a couple. Let's check them out. I'm just gonna open both of these. All right. Let's see what we can get out of this. Game of Life, huh? Let's see if I can. This is actually much better sounding than I would have guessed for what it's doing here. Yeah, this could work. We could probably do something with this. That's good to know. This one's not coming up. Come on. Connect. Is this not a thing yet? Reload. Reload! Do we have anything going on here? Body. Oh yeah, that's real empty. I guess it's not here anymore. Aviary music creator. Try it now. Sweet. Alright, well, that one's out. So we've got this one as an option. I've got Sunvox downloading. Let's see. Online Moog. Let's see if there's something cool. Moog Doodle Synth lives on. Is there a Google Doodle Moog synth? Ooh, excellent. That's not making any noise. Do I have something wrong? Is it not on? No luck. Huh. Weird. Oh well. This thing's still downloading. Let's see what the comments say, just see if there's anyone talking. Maybe someone else has an idea. Ludum X2 PSP game had a music composer in it. I guess the game is on Steam as well. Haha. So the trick with using music creators that are in programs that are in games and stuff is you don't always have the rights to stuff that you make afterwards. It has to kind of explicitly say that somewhere. In the case of that game, it probably is fine. Like, you could probably use it and it probably wouldn't be a problem, but you can run into that scenario. It's usually more of a problem with licensed music. So like if you're using like MTV Music Creator, obviously you can't export those remixes of songs because they're remixes of actual songs. But yeah, so that's cool though. I will look into that. I do like music creators. I like Electroplankton a whole lot, though it's not very particularly useful for complex music setups, was very, very useful for simple ones. Dorian. This is like Choo Choo Rocket, but with music. And no cats. Or mice. Or were they rats? I don't remember. Honestly, I think this music would kind of drive me crazy in this game. I need something more atmospheric. I need something that's more like... I've got something on my iPhone here. Where's my iPhone? There it is. Let me see if there's some equivalent that I can actually show on the show. The other problem with using virtual ANS, let's see if... I think there's actually a downloadable version of this. Oh, it is made by the same person who makes Sunvox. Of course it is. This guy's super awesome. So we'll download something else from his site. So that'll take another 20 minutes. So that's good. Because Sunvox, I think, is going to be more complex than I'm actually capable of actually doing in the time provided here. And I know this I haven't shown much on the show other than what I have done so far, and already we've used 30 minutes, and so this is going down to the wire real quick. I just really want to get something in there because having some sound in the space really changes your perception of things. I've mentioned this several times on the show. And we've almost got Sunvox, so we'll probably play with that while Virtual ANS is downloading. And then we'll probably actually use Virtual ANS. Virtual ANS is really not for music. It's more of a sound exploration thing, but it's got those kind of sweeping synth, like thick synth stuff that might work very well if it was downplayed in the background of the game. So so let's open up Sunvox and see what we got here. Sunvox. And Sunvox. And wow, there's all the versions. That's why it was so big. It's actually only 3 megabytes. Open. So here's Sunvox, and you get to select a color theme at the beginning. I kind of like the default theme, so I'm going to go with that. Okay. So the first thing you see on the screen is something that looks very confusing, and this is not a standard user interface by any stretch of the imagination. Which part of the reason why it worked so well on mobile is because he invented all of its language for the system itself. But it also means that it works exactly the same on every platform. I'm going to go ahead and full screen this so that we have more real estate here. And this is a tracker, is what this is. So what the biggest difference between a sequencer and a tracker? They're actually exactly the same thing. It's just that trackers typically use a top-to-bottom system for describing the notes. So this is time. Time goes downwards here. And then a sequencer uses left to right. They're both kind of the same concept, though. So by default, it has a generator set up, and you can hit buttons, and you'll generate, and it has a little echo thing attached to it. It's kind of piercing in the high end. And you can, like slide the keyboard. You can make things bigger or smaller. You can change the octaves, so we can like slide it down so that we're working in more ranges that sound good here. And if we wanted to start recording, we could do that right now. We could just go up here to... where is the record button? There you go. You unlock this control, and then you like... so you can just hit insert... Wait, what is this? Why is it... Oh, what am I doing? I know how to use this, yes. Alright, so why is it... There we go. So I guess it's what you have selected, what you'll actually be inserting. So so these are the note parameters for the zeroth input here. And they're going to go into this generator. They're going to affect this generator, I think. So, so we have it selected. So we can just, if I just hit the buttons, so if you hit them, they just go. And so you can do a whole, so once you hit it, it just holds it forever. So you can then click somewhere later and turn off. I actually am going to turn this off of full screen because it keeps messing up there, so I'm just going to make it that big. I need the extra space here. So let me just delete this real quick. Go back in. So like if I just start typing things, now these have no spaces between them, so it'll just play real fast. So if I just hit play here, doesn't sound great, but it does work. So you can actually type them in and do them kind of in an offline fashion, and you can also, and I can't delete these now for some reason. Delete was working before. Oh, maybe it's because it's locked now. All right, delete. There we go. So you can do that. You can also just insert silence by hitting off, and you can hold, which makes it so that you hold down the sound for longer. And then you can actually you can create little blocks that you can then sequence down here. And then, I mean, there's a lot of things you can do with this thing. And then there's the actual instrumentation here. So I'm going to actually get a different generator. We're going to give it more of an 8-bit sound. What I'm going to do is I'm going to right-click here. I'm going to choose New Module. And we've got a bunch of different options here. I'm going to grab a... I'm just going to grab a generator, just like this one that we have here. And so... this, you can't hear it right now because it's not hooked into anything, and actually I should have probably locked it while we're experimenting here. So let's lock this thing. So you can't hear it, and it's because it's not hooked up to an output. So we can hook it directly to an output, or we can hook it up to a module and then do some other stuff. So I'm just going to, how do we actually connect these? On mobile, you click on both. Maybe I hold Shift and click. No. Hold Command and click. No. Hold Option and click. No. I would have thought it would have been Shift click. Do I like grab from like the edge or something? No. Huh. Might have to find out what to actually press to get this to happen. So as I said, on mobile you hold on one finger and then you tap on the other to connect two things. Oh, here's a link tool. So you click link, oh wait, link, and then there we go. So there we go, it's linked in. So now you can hear it, and this is a triangle wave. And you can change the type of wave. The generators, there's a few different types. So triangle is type 0, saw is type 1. This basically has all the generators that are in the Nintendo. So like this is a sawtooth wave. We've got a square wave, which sounds pretty much the same, but they actually do have slightly different properties. Sawtooth actually isn't really in. This one isn't really available on NES, so I lied. And noise channel, which is just gray noise. And dirty, I don't know what that is. It is dirty, though. It's kind of like a repeating noise type thing. True sine, so this isn't in Nintendo. This is too smooth. H sine, which is just the top side of a sine wave. Same kind of thing. There's a lot of different waveforms here to play with. And actually, I think you can create your own waveforms in this. Let's try a new module real quick. If we do sampler... Where was it? I swear... No, I don't want to exit. I swear there's actually a way to draw a... analog generator. No. What does that sound like? If we link this in... Sounds very similar, but it's supposedly analog. Which, you know, there's no real such thing. Wait, maybe it's here. Maybe it's... I swear there's a way to do it, but I don't remember where it is. So, I'm gonna try sampler just to see if edit. There we go. Yeah, so we can actually just like literally draw out. Why is it disabled? Enable loop. Disable loop. Samples, here we go. Yeah, I'm definitely not going to be able to make much with this. Paint mode, there we go, paint mode. Thought that was going to work. Let's try new. There we go, 8-bit, mono. Okay, there we go. Paint mode on. So we can just do that, and then how do I test it? Can I just hear? Oh, I can. I didn't hear anything, but probably because it's not connected to anything. So let's connect this to output, and let's play with this again. So I'm going to double click it. I'm going to go to info. That's not where it is. I'm going to go to edit here. There we go. Close this, close that. And so that's the horrible sound I just made. I should probably make this a longer sound. Let's create a new, let's make it 8-bit, mono, number of frames, let's make it 1024. Okay, so this one will be a bit longer. Zoom out. Yeah, it does. Yeah, whatever. There's cool stuff you can play with. You could make a whole song with this, and there's actually some samples. I'm not going to load them up because, as I said, not going to be able to handle it. So we're going to go virtual NAS and do something a little bit more abstract. So start OS X, I guess, is the one we want. So what this is this is a ANS probably means something. Here, let's look at the docs. README. So it's based on the Russian synthesizer that was ANS. So there was a synth that was based on these concepts. This is a very pretty and simple implementation. Well, not simple. It's actually a very cool implementation. So I'm just going to play with what started here. So, as I said, this is going to give us kind of easy synth tones and generations. But what this is a it's really a sound spectrum editor is what it is. If you were to do a spectrograph of what just played here, it would look similar to what is on this screen as it is. You can actually even record into it in a similar way, so you can actually use this as a spectrograph. But the way it works is this represents the tone, so higher is higher, lower is lower. This represents time, and anything that is on multiple lines contains multiple tones, and they're all kind of split at some interval. So I'm going to just delete all this and just play with it a little bit. No. I guess I have to say cut. That'll work. So I'm gonna, no, I don't want to select anything anymore. And let's just draw some fun. Let's just try it. So it has a bunch of different tools to play with, and you can change the way things draw and stuff. And some of them have subtools and stuff like that. So we can just do this and just see how it plays. And you can draw actually while it's playing. So we can just actually have it loop around and play stuff. So it's very sci-fi-ish. When you have a narrow range, it kind of tends to have kind of a airy sound to it. Alright, so... And you can do, like, gradients and stuff. There's a lot of fun stuff you can do. You can do stuff that's kind of, like, builds in intensity. The low end I can barely hear, so we're going to probably stay in the mid-range right now. That's just because I'm on a laptop. Not what I wanted. Let's just get rid of all this stuff again. I'm just going to do Command X to get rid of it. And let's see what we can do. I'm going to just do some triangle painting. I'm actually going to reverse triangles it a little bit. And just kind of do a couple of overlaps here. And just see how this sounds. Okay, so that doesn't sound particularly audibly pleasing. So probably gonna have to be more picky. Let's see what we can do. I'm just trying to make something that'll loop and relatively... So, can I adjust how long things are? Like, what are the settings? Project. With time. Okay. I don't know what random frequency means. Okay, whatever. So, let's see what we got. I'm going to try and make some sort of octave chord here, and I'm going to do it with this brush set, so that's not what I wanted. Undo. Actually, let's just do lines. That's even better. That way we'll know. Play. Still kind of getting a pop between the two here, so I'm going to just kind of dirty this up a bit on both sides. That might be too much. Let's undo a couple of those. Oh, 2 levels of undo. That seems like what we get. But yeah, we can kind of work and kind of create a soundscape with this, which is what I need. As I said, I'm kind of going for abstract, partially because I don't have time to go for much else. Let's do this again. Now, was there a way to change the scale? Yeah, there was. So I can change the scale. Let's make this smaller. Let's make it like 0.47. And let's just let's first find a note. Let's just create like a background. Actually, I want this back up to 1 for this. Can I just say 1? No, I have to drag it out. No. Alright, so just create kind of a meandering back end first. Now I'm going to take the scale down. There we go, that's grabbing it. And we're going to just do some tones. Yeah, I don't like how long those tones went for. Yep, 2 levels of undo. Not enough levels. I find it funny that it's 2 and not like 1. but it is. Alright, so let's see what we got here. Actually, this might be more interesting. Oh, wait. Fine tune. You can create brushes? That's cool. Let's actually do the more sparse one. That's gonna sound horrible. I just want to get this kind of filled in a little bit at the end here. Yeah, that'll work. That'll work for our loop. It's not particularly interesting, but it's something to have in the background. I'm not even sure if I want all of the little, go ahead and delete some of these. And let's go back to the brush and just make some very, very brief little glitches here and there. Alright, that'll work. That'll work. So I'm going to go ahead and stop this, and we're going to see if we can actually export this in some way. If I hit record, what does this do? Record from keyboard audio input. Interesting. Okay, we don't want that. What do we want, though? Settings. Oh, wait, there's a save button. Save sounds promising. So save. Let's import, export to wave. And we'll just put it right where it's at. We're going to call it, oh, it already has a name. I want it in projects. Let's just do OK here. That's fine. We'll save out the audio file. And let's go ahead and grab that file. It's right here. And throw it into the project. And I didn't go back to see if our build actually kicked off, but it should have. Let's see what we got here. So if I hit refresh here, we were at build 8 before, 8:24, 7:20 a.m. It might be smart to not rebuild just because it knows nothing actually really substantially changes. No, it did. Okay, it built it. So cool. It built our project automatically. That's exciting. So I'm going to call this abstract environment, and we're going to create a folder called sounds, and we're going to put that in there, and I'm going to go ahead and attach this to the main camera, and we're going to make sure this is a not a 3D sound, this is a 2D sound, and that way we will get the full volume on it when we hit play. I'm going to hit play, and so we have some background stuff now. It's not just a completely empty space. It's better than nothing. Better than nothing. But, oh, and we didn't tell it to loop. So, let's actually do compressed so that we can do gapless looping, which it didn't give us that option for some reason. What platform am I on? Build settings. Huh. Load type, decompress on load, stream from disk, none of those have. I hit apply and see if that shows back up. Huh. For some reason it doesn't have gapless looping as an option. Well, hopefully it will loop relatively gaplessly anyway. I'm going to go ahead and make it compressed though, that's more appropriate. And we're going to go on the main camera here and choose loop. And we'll see how that loop sounds. It'll probably have a little bit of a poppiness to it. It already did anyway, but we'll see how this goes. Yeah, there's definitely a pop there. I'll live with it for right now. I'm going to do a quick search, though, while we're looking at this. Can't select gapless Unity. Let's see if there's any comments. Virtual ANS. So, we got a few things. So, when are you pulling the series down? No comment. It'll be after we finish it, if at all. Max, what would you suggest be ideal when trying to learn to program? I'm using Pluralsight and going through tutorials, but how do you get to the stage of envisioning something and translating it? What would you suggest to be ideal when trying to learn to program? Pluralsight. Actually, I don't know what Pluralsight is. Let's find out. Appears to be on some online training thing. How do you get to the stage of envisioning something and translating it? I mean, it's practice. Practice makes perfect, right? The thing is, the tools that you learn for programming are a set of tools. So, like, if you're learning C#, that's a tool, and that's a tool set, right? And then you have Unity's tool set, and that's a really, really big, really powerful tool set, and there's a lot in there, and we've only covered a small portion of it on the show, and I've been doing the show for, we've got hundreds and hundreds of hours of tutorials, and it's still like we still haven't even scratched all that it can do. And the thing is, what I would say is, like, so when you're beginning, right, you only know some of the tools, right? You only know a portion of C#, you only know a portion of Unity, and you only know a portion of the other stuff that you're working with. And so there's a lot of, when you're first learning, there's a lot of using a hammer to solve all your problems, because that's all you have is that's all you know about is the hammer, when there's, you know, a whole bunch of other stuff in there too. So what I suggest is always have a project, like, because if you have a project, you're going to be solving problems. The thing that you're going to be learning, the thing that people don't teach, I try to teach it on my show, but what really isn't taught is problem solving. People teach you the tools, they teach you the things that you can remember, they teach you the book smarts, right? But actually compositing this stuff into a project or into an idea, it takes practice. You have to know how things will react. And the thing is, there's also experimental aspects too. Like, sometimes you will want to do something that no one else has really done quite like you've done it before, and you may have to experiment. You may have to play with things. So always have a project, at least one, so that you have something that will force you to learn. Like, if you have a project, you'll be like, I have this problem that I need to solve, I am going to solve it. And there's in programming, there's an infinity number of solutions to a problem. Most of them are terrible. Some of them are great. A few of them are really great with caveats. And there's no perfect solution. I guarantee you will never find a perfect solution to any problem in programming. Unless it's a very, 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 very small problem. And even then, there's contention. So the thing is, you're going to need to solve problems to know how to solve more problems later. And as you do things, you'll have experience with it. And so, like the first time that I did visualization, it was tough, but like, it's easier the next time. And so you have to play with things, and Unity is a great environment to play with. It will take time. I've been doing this for a long time. I've understood how games worked systematically well before I started doing programming. And the reason I knew that is because I played a lot of games, and you started to see the patterns, and you'd hear stories. Like, I would read things about people who'd made them, about the challenges, and I took those to heart. And it helped me when I started doing my own projects. And I've been doing programming since, hardcore since 2000, so 14 years. It will take you less time. I'm going to tell you that right now. And the reason it will take you less time is because you have better tools. Almost everyone who went into programming that I knew went into it because they wanted to make games. And almost all programming doesn't really focus on that at first. And the fact that Unity exists means that you can actually focus on making games before you necessarily learn how to program. And programming will come with that. Have you considered one of those pledge money for YouTube video sites? That way you can keep them free and still get money from supporters. Yes, I have considered that. I'll be looking into that and talking more about that later. Opacity looks good for background sounds as well, I believe. Virtual ANS. Oh yeah, opacity. Yeah, opacity would be changes the volume. So if we needed to change the volume on some things, I wish that this thing would allow me to do gapless looping. I just don't get it. Oh well. And I'm just going to run the volume on this a little bit lower. I'm just going to hit the volume to 0.5 for right now, so it's really backgroundy. So cool. Let's do some programming or something. I wanna do something. Let's make some other things that can exist in this spherical world. So, what do I want to create? It's gonna be similar to my player. I'm gonna duplicate my player hierarchy here real quick. I'm gonna call this an enemy. And what will we do? We'll do. Maybe I'll make the background blue and make the enemies red, so we'll have green, red, and blue all represented. I always like having those pure colors in there. Let's play with that later. So he's going to have a cube. The cube's probably going to be... Wait. Oh, okay, that makes sense. That makes sense. This is just where he is in the scene. I don't know what I was thinking there. So the cube is at the same position as the enemy, so that's exactly right. We're not going to need a camera for him. And we are going to need to change it from player movement. We're going to have to remove component. We're going to have to create something similar to player movement. So I'm going to duplicate player movement. We're going to call this enemy movement. And so this is going to be very similar. But what we're going to be doing instead is we're still going to keep late update. This is going to be identical, pretty much. But instead of doing a get access, we're going to just do transform.position plus equals transform.forward times input.get access. Okay, so I'm going to create a really bad little AI here. All it's going to do is it's always going to constantly move forward at a set speed. And then it's going to rotate a random amount. So instead of rotating input get access, we're going to rotate at random dot. Oh wait, no. We still want. Wait, what are we doing here? Input dot get access horizontal. What was this being used by? Okay, good. It was just being used by rotation speed. So we just get rid of that. And I somehow thought there was another bracket somewhere. Read it wrong. So what we want here is we want some sort of random value. So random dot range, and we're going to give it two floats. It's going to be rotate speed, actually negative rotate speed and rotate speed. And actually we'll do this instead of the rotate speed itself. And so this will actually choose another direction to rotate every frame, so it will be probably pretty jittery, but we'll see how this actually looks. So I'm going to go ahead and, okay, we already have player movement. This is called enemy movement. Save. And we're going to hit play and see if this thing cruises around a little bit. So, oh, whoops. Well, this is what it's going to do. Evidently I changed player movement to be enemy movement. I actually wanted this one to be enemy movement. File save. Alright. And save all. Why is that cube just sitting there? Maybe my settings on him are not quite right. Oh, yes, because he doesn't have enemy movement. That might be part of the problem. And where is my player? Why does it look like he's in a different spot than... No, it's definitely in the same spot. That was just weird. Oh, it's because I'm floating up when I start moving. So he's moving there. So evidently we're higher than him right now. Let's look at player height 5. That would be the reason. So let's put his height the same. The reason I have it so high is because the polygons will actually cut into... Right now I'm moving across a ideal sphere, but the sphere is actually a geometric sphere, so you can cut into it. There's points where it overlaps itself. So I'm going to hit play, and now this thing should be near me and moving. It's moving way too slow, but there it goes. It's a robot. It has robot AI. And we're going to make the speed more appropriate. Let's make it 25, although move half as fast as we do for right now. And just hit play and see what they do. So there it goes, it's cruising. It's incredibly fast, actually, now that I'm seeing it from a third person. Let's make a bunch of them. Let's just do this. Let's just make a whole bunch of enemies. I'm just going to duplicate them a whole bunch of times and just say, yeah. So in theory, they can actually turn all the way around eventually. I haven't constrained them. What's actually happening is they're just choosing a random angle initially. But yeah. So we got a bunch of little enemies here. Let's see how this looks with a blue background. I'm going to actually make the enemies a different, I'm going to delete these extra ones for right now. And I'm going to make the sphere, we're going to change it to, it's called red sphere. I think I may actually keep that material. Actually, let's just call it blue sphere. Blue sphere. And we're going to go and we're going to, what are we going to do with it? So I'm going to actually make it blue. Blue. Maybe purple. No, I like blue. Maybe like a little bit lighter there. Yeah, maybe that's what I'll make it. I'll make this, oh, that looks real Tron-y. And this will excuse me to make the enemies red. So I'm going to create a red cube. Red cube. And this one will be red. What a surprise. And we'll make our enemies all red cubed out. So do they stand out? I may have to turn the bloom down a little bit. This is a bit much. Especially now that the color has more of an additive value. I do like that blue, but I'm going to make it the darker just so that we don't have the ridiculous glare. Yeah, and I'm going to just turn on that glare. So I'm using just one of the built-in bloom effects. We'll take the intensity down to 5 or something and see how that looks. There you go. That's still glowy and cool without being overly done. Now I kind of want to go back to the other blue. Yep, this is all I do when I'm making games. I just am like, I don't really like that. Let's tweak that. So... do like how this, as I said, I've liked how this has turned out visually, so that's cool. So I got some cubes. Let's make a bunch of them. I'm going to duplicate this sphere populator. I'm going to call this the green spike populator, and this one's going to be the enemy populator. We'll see if we can just make this work. I think it'll be very easy. So this thing populates to the raycast position. Will that work in my case? These guys, do they have a collider? They do, so that will not work. I'll need to populate a little bit in. So the way I'm going to do that is I'm actually going to have the enemies... How am I going to do this? Maybe I should actually put a layer mask onto this finally. I'm going to do that. Public layer mask equals -1, because that's a really good default value for layer mask. That means everything. It wants to collide with everything. And then we just throw a layer mask into our raycast here, which I think means we have to add 2 things. Because we're doing origin, direction, distance, layer mask. So we have to do distance, so math f.infinity, and layer mask. Save. We're going to make it so that this raycast really should only affect the sphere layer. So I'm going to grab it on both. I'm going to go ahead and fix this on the player as well, because it wasn't there before, but it should have been. Did I not save this? I did. Just hasn't compiled yet. Oh, wait. Sphere populator. Looking at the wrong thing. So sphere populator, green spike populator. So layer mask should be nothing, and we should set this to sphere. And then enemy populator, same thing, nothing, and sphere. So this way it won't collide with itself when it tries to raycast in. And let's see if this works. So I'm going to just get rid of both these enemies for right now, and we'll see what we end up getting out of this. So I'm going to just have it make 100 of these guys. I don't think it actually did. Oh, I made more pillars, so that didn't really help. I'm going to set this to 150, and we're going to set this to our enemy, which I deleted. We don't have an enemy prefab. Okay, undo. There we go. Let's make one of these into a prefab. Alright. Then we'll delete them. So, redo, or just delete. And so now we're going to grab prefabs, enemy, throw that in there, and we'll see if any of them actually show up. Oh, I see them. I see some enemies. It's not enough enemies. Let's make it 1,000. And why is it 500 again? I thought I set this to 150. Let's do that again. It actually doesn't make a difference, just other than populating it initially. Okay, so now we've got some slowdown and stuff because I'm doing a lot of stupid things. It's probably all the raycasts. Each of these guys has to raycast around. So yeah, we got some enemies moving around. Cool. Alright, so obviously we don't want 1,000 enemies. We probably want to do some stuff to actually make these a little bit more interesting. So, what do we want to do? Let's see what we got in here. Boobies. Did I show some boobies? I didn't see any boobies. Oh well. Any tutorial on pathfinding? Yeah, actually, I already have a tutorial on pathfinding. Go to the first-person shooter playlist, and you'll find a tutorial on how to implement Dijkstra. We implement it from the pseudocode available on Wikipedia, and we make a node system for it. So, yeah, check it out. I don't know why someone yelled boobies in my channel. Oh well. So what am I doing? So let's make these these enemies a bit bigger. So now they're actually going to be a little bit more noticeable, I'd say. And actually, let's maybe make them not scintillate so much. Let's make them, I'm going to change their, so I'm going to do red cube. I'm actually going to get rid of this filter, basically. This basically is our ref strength filter. And so if we remove it, it will just be a little bit brighter. It won't look like it's moving. The main reason I did this is just so that I'd have some movement if you're not moving in the scene. And so, so that's what I'm doing here. We're going to move it up so that this matches wherever the player bottom is about. So, whoops, that's not what I wanted to be moving. And what did I just do there? No, you go over here. Alright. So I was actually moving the wrong thing. So I want this back where the player was, 249, negative 249. 249. And then we want to change the cube height to be a little bit lower. I think it's going to be just like 0.5 or something, but or it's 2. It's 2 evidently. Oh yes. I don't know exactly what it is. Whatever. So let's just do that. Let's make the enemies like that and hit apply. And see if they're a little bit more obvious. There's some of them that are getting stuck in places, it looks like. I don't know what that one did, actually. Yeah, they're kind of freaking out, aren't they? How did they end up in the middle there? So let's see what this thing is doing. So the theory behind this is basically in the first frame of the game, it spawns them all around here and then attaches them to the center. And it uses similar logic for figuring out the center here. Position minus object dot transfer dot position. I think that points at transform dot position. Is that what I used for player movement? Transfer dot position minus transfer dot position. So it's actually opposite, isn't it? Oh wait, it should be opposite because this is from the sphere's perspective, not from the new object's perspective, and this is from the object's perspective. So that's appropriate. So why doesn't this work? So I'm going to hit play, and we're going to just see where they ended up. A lot of them are falling through the universe, it looks like. So, and I think I know why, actually. So this is setting their position exactly to the hit point, which is right on the edge of the sphere, which means if they're raycasting from there, it's likely that they're raycasting towards the center of the sphere, as opposed to towards the outside edge. So I'm going to create just a small offset here to fix that problem. At that point, I'm just going to do minus new up. Save. So this will move them 1 unit out. Nope, they all still fell. Alright, so I want to catch them before they're outside of the sphere here. So I'm going to go to one of the enemies. There. So they look like they're not being rotated correctly. Because this guy probably should have the rotation where he's... Oh, where did he come from? Yeah, so this angle definitely didn't get put on him. Oh, I'm using transform.right instead of using obj.transform.right. I'm surprised that this worked at all for the other things. So let's hit stop and hit play again. See if this solves the problem. Nope, still flying off into space. I thought I had these guys. Alright, so let's hit pause real quick again. Find one of the enemies. Yeah, again, it's not looking like it's oriented properly. Transform dot position, new up, out dot hit dot point minus new up. Alright, I'm going to have to stop broadcasting here in about 30 minutes just because we're nearing... I don't want to go over the 2-hour mark. I'd like to have a lot of safety room for that just because things get real ugly when that happens on YouTube. So why is this not working? So it definitely looks like they're not rotating correctly. And the fact that they're dropping up like that is weird. Because it means that they might... Okay, so I know the problem. So I need to actually affect enemy movement and player movement too. Remember I add that layer mask thing to the populator? I really should have that layer mask for all of them. Because I think it will at least potentially solve some problems. Because I think it was colliding with itself is the problem. So we're going to put the layer mask. We're going to put... I'm just going to grab these two here. Add them in here, the comma, and here again with a comma. File save all, and let's see if that does any better. Nope, they're still flying up. So are these guys not actually getting a raycast or something? I'm going to put in the any movement just a debug.log here, and I'm going to do hit.point. And I'm also going to debug.log new up. Save, and we'll hit play. Okay, so where is it hitting? This is actually not where I wanted to do it. I wanted to do this in... Just going to copy both of these. And put them in the sphere populator. This is actually what I wanted to see. So we'll just do here, see if they actually did do anything. Save and hit play. It's actually possible for me to like do something like pause and hit play and then go like one frame. And then let's see where they're at. Why are they so far in? Looks like the radius is wrong. Yeah, definitely. How big is the radius of my sphere? Oh, it's 500. Well, that might be part of the problem. How the heck am I doing it on the spike populator? Oh, radius 500. That would be why. Okay, well, that would be the major problem, I think. So let's do 510 and hit play and see if that does any better. I don't know what happened there, but I don't like it. It slowed things down. And I don't think I saw any spikes anymore. Where are my spikes? What happened to my spikes? I swear they were just working. They're out. They're way out now. What the heck? Oh, it's because I'm doing that offset now. New up. Oh, yeah. That's way more than I wanted to do there. Okay, I wanted new up dot normalized. There we go. I'll save. That'll probably solve that problem and possibly both problems. Let's see. Okay, we got the spikes. The cubes are still freaking out. And my frame rate has gone to nothing for some reason. Oh, radius is still bad. Why is that? 510. Let's try this again. There we go. Looks like they're doing things now. That looks right. Okay, now I'm just getting crushed, though, CPU-wise. So if I disable the sphere populator real quick and hit play... Alright, yeah, we're back to speed. So it's definitely related to these guys. I swear it was running better than this before. Oh, are we doing debug logs? Is that what's happening? That's what's happening. Okay. I didn't actually save my... There, this will be a lot faster now. It was actually just debug logs that was being slow. Yep. Yay. Nice and fast again. Yay, they're working. Joy of joys. All my games eventually become cube blasters, so I think that's what this game is going to become. I think I want their height to be a little bit different, so let's go to enemy. They've got a height of 5. Let's actually make the height... Actually, let's just change the cube height to 1 and see if that looks a little bit better. Yeah, it feels more like they're on my level. The jittering is kind of cool. It actually gives them kind of a life, even though they don't have the animated texture thing going on. How are we looking stats-wise? They should still be... Yep, 15 draw calls. That's 16 if we count the player, so that's not too bad. Not too shabby. Things are still running good. I think I'm going to save this, save project, and we'll put all these changes in. I probably should have been doing this as I was going. And commit. We're going to call this lots of stuff, because that's what it was. And while that's committing, I'm going to go ahead and hit up. Actually, I'm going to let that commit, and I'm going to let them run a build on it. This is going to be a big commit, mostly because there was a music file in there, so that takes up some space. WAV files are big. Pretty short, though, so hopefully it won't take too long. Alright, this is going for something like Tron, make different levels with different enemies in a timer. You have to hunt them down. Feels like the enemies are quite small. Enemies with different speeds. Some bosses bigger, give more speed. Is that what you were going for? What game are you making? Have you ever tried to make a FPS zombie game? Made some tech for an FPS zombie game once. I made a really cool ragdoll / dismemberment system that was honestly more gross than I like to share. It worked really, really well and had a lot of detail that hasn't been in previous games. And the thing is, the test rig was basically just a zombie ragdoll strung up by his arms, and you could just shoot at him, and it's like you felt bad after a while of playing it. And yeah, we may do an FPS zombie game. It's, you know, it's zombies. This has kind of been done, and they are popular. But yeah, check the FPS tutorials, and you'll get some ideas on how to do that stuff. We show you how to do pathfinding as well, so your zombies can find you in other rooms. This game I'm just making is for Ludum Dare or Ludum Dare, and it's cool. So did this? Okay, completed successfully. Yay! So I just want to see if our thing is kicked off a build yet. I think I can manually start a build, so I guess I could just do build web right now, and it would do it. But I kind of like to show that it actually automatically does it. And since we have 4 minutes, I can do that. Wait, am I on my face right now? Good, I'm not. I thought I switched to my face for a second there, because I was thinking about it. But yeah, so we'll add some shooting to this. By the way, the reason I've got the control scheme the way it is, I've got mouse look. I could have just locked this to a specific view, and it'll probably end up doing that. But I was kind of experimenting with it because I want to throw this into virtual reality, and so having a free camera look helps with that. I think that'll be fun to play around with, honestly. I like that because they're twitching around, it looks like they're glitches, and so it looks like you're kind of like this more organized data, and these guys are unorganized, and we're going to be shooting them with data blasters or something. I don't know. I make up stupid stuff. Data blasters. There we go. No, it's not. All right, I'm just going to manually do it. Just start, build web. And let's go to history and see how it's going. So it's going to... is pending, alright. Building. So if we go to log, we can actually watch this build happen. And historically, these builds have taken about 3 minutes, so I'm just going to wait for it. So started, we can go to full build log, and it will give us all the nitty-gritty details. So it has already fetched the upstream changes, and is commencing the build. It has checked it out, and it has actually started the build for the real deal. So they already have the files, and it's already building. So that's exciting. This build will surely take a little bit longer because there's actually music involved, so that's one more big file to deal with. It looks like it already had one pending for... This was the auto build here, so I don't think we need this one anymore. We're just going to get rid of that one. Just wasn't patient enough. It would have totally done it. That's not what I wanted to do. So, do I enjoy what I do? Yes, absolutely. If I didn't, I wouldn't do it because, quite frankly, it hasn't been paying the bills lately. But yeah, no, I love programming. I love making games. It's been a dream of mine to make games, and I'm very happy to be in a position where I was making them. Part of the reason I do the show is because of the fact that when I was growing up, I was just like you guys. I wanted to make my own games, and I had no idea where to start, and it was so hard back then. Like, you have no idea how much harder. It was orders of magnitude harder to get into game development, both because the platforms you were developing for were considerably less powerful than what we're dealing with today. So, like, you couldn't mess around and have a good frame rate. Like, you had to be very, very, very tight with your code. And second of all, the information was not very widespread. The internet didn't really exist in the way that it does today when I was growing up. And so it was hard to get that information. The tools were not free. There were no free tools. Like, if you wanted even a compiler, you were going to be paying for it, unless you were on Linux. which is part of the reason that people loved Linux so much, is because it's like, oh, hey, I can develop things and I don't have to pay. This is great. And so there's just, you got all your information from books and stuff. Now manuals were better back then. Like, a lot of manuals would have information that you wouldn't expect to find in a manual these days. Like, I remember my Commodore 64 basic manual. It showed all the built-in math functions, and it showed you how to derive a lot of trigonometric functions yourself, and it had code for that. Because just finding that information was hard. Just finding like sine wave tables was hard. Setting up equations and stuff like that were more difficult. So it's a lot easier now. But the reason I do the show is I target it kind of myself when I was wanting to learn, and I'm in the industry now. I made it, quote unquote. And I mean, this was my goal, right? My dream was be in the games industry. I've been in the games industry for now 14 years, so that's great. Show one comment doesn't work. I started with XNA, didn't get anywhere, but I find Unity. Like I was like, let's do this. Yeah, pretty much same situation for me. I actually was exposed to Unity a couple times, and I thought it was like this designer tool, and I didn't think I was gonna like it. And then when I finally started using it, I just loved it. I had done all my quote-unquote engines from scratch before. Most of them were just OpenGL stuff, and when I say engine, it is very quote-unquote. It was just like, well, look at my Ludum Dare page here. Let's look. Let's do that. Dragfire Ludum Dare. Yeah. So these ones were made after Unity, and these ones were made before. So my after ones have like textures and like graphics and like 3D, and the ones before look like this. I'm just gonna play the video on this one. But yeah, so this was a Ludum Dare entry that I did before. Already, my current one looks a lot better than this one. There's less gameplay. I don't have a score or anything yet, but yeah. So this was a entry, and I actually was very happy with this one. This was the reason the resolution's so weird on it is it was designed to also run on PSP, because my tool chain I'd set up also worked on PSP. I was very, very proud of that. It mostly really wasn't my work. Someone had written an OpenGL-like implementation for for PSP, and so I used that, and I was able to port. I was basically able to maintain the calls between Windows and Mac and PSP. But yeah, so little stick figures and stuff jumping around. So now it's cubes. Big difference. I don't know. Let's see how our app did. I'm going to hit refresh on this page because I don't think this page auto refreshes very much, which is probably good because they don't want to burn all their power. Yep, success. It worked. So we can actually, here, I'll just make a share link, and we'll put this in Twitter. Let's go something along these lines. Latest build for my LD48 entry. Sweet. So I'm going to sign off, and I'll start another broadcast at 5, 6, 7. That's I'll start at 5:30. That way we won't have a problem of going over. So the next episode will be in an hour, and yeah. So thank you for joining me. I'm having a lot of fun. Hopefully you guys are having fun with Ludum Dare, and yeah, I will see you guys in an hour. All right, so banter time for a little bit. Banter. I want to work on the project. Lots shooting, yay! That's probably enough. If I cut off the end, who's going to be crying about this? This is not like a actual episode.